Hello and welcome to another broadcast here of Deep Calleth in Your Deep. I'm your host Jeremy Lopez here on IdentityNetwork.tv. Hey, recently we've been discussing the law of attraction from a biblical standpoint. You know, a lot of times people don't really know what the law of attraction really is, but how many know it's just as biblical and real as the law of gravity, as all the other supernatural laws God's placed within the Bible. And so one thing I want to talk about this morning is Genesis chapter 8, verse 22. And it says, we're going to recap for a moment. It says, as long as the earth remaineth, there'll be seed time and harvest. You know, we focused for so long on the natural part of seed time and harvest, and if you give your money, if you give of your money, your time, your this or that, sow your seed, you'll reap back in the natural, and we're so thrilled about that. But it's also a spiritual aspect or spiritual point more than even the natural point. Which means spiritually, you're constantly 24 hours a day, you're sowing your thoughts, you're sowing patterns that are coming out of the mind, of your heart, and you're always constantly reaping back, getting back in your life what you're putting out there to the atmosphere. And so I want to take a moment to tell you, it's time to start focusing on the seeds that you're putting out within the thought process of your heart. The Bible says, again, it says, out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh, but it also says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So your heart has a thinking process. So seeds are constantly being put out every moment of the day by what you're thinking, what you're projecting from your heart. The atmosphere responds to those seeds. So when the seeds go out of your heart, you're literally impregnating the atmosphere around you, and guess what you're going to begin to produce? Whatever you're putting out there. You know, the Bible says, a good scripture, is God desires to give you the desires of your heart. He delights in giving the desires of your heart to you. And so we have to be careful what those desires are really prophesying. See, your desires out of your heart are constantly prophesying to the temple whence you are, but it's also prophesying to your atmosphere, which means whatever you're prophesying to as seed form, going out in the atmosphere of what you desire, how many know that the atmosphere around you becomes conducive to what you're thinking? So therefore, the desires of your heart you have because you deeply, passionately focus on that, and God says, hey, I'm going to honor that because you're passionate about that desire, so I'm going to you're going to focus on it, and I'm going to give it to you. So see, we have to be careful because God says, I'll give you the desires of your heart, but how many know sometimes that our desires might not be God's desires? So you could be desiring, man, I want to work in ministry. I want to be a prophet like so-and-so. I want to be a teacher like so-and-so. I want to own my own business like Donald Trump. And we don't realize a lot of times those desires might not be God's desires for our lives. Because God says, hey, I got a good will and an acceptable will, but I also have a perfect will for your life. So sometimes you can give into that good will or that acceptable will, and God says, hey, you know what? I'll give you the desires of your heart, but it might not be my desire. So we have to have the mind of Christ to know, God, what do you desire from my life? What is the desire and delight, God, that causes you, to be delightful? I want to do that, God, that causes you joy in your heart. So give me that desire, God. So we have to strategically know how to pray and to know what God is saying in our lives and what He wants for our lives so we can focus on that, because what you focus on, automatically that attracts back to you. Have you ever wondered, for example, when you were in high school, maybe you see the jocks hanging out with the jocks, and maybe the theater kids hanging out with the theater kids, or maybe the PE people, the gym guys, they're hanging out with each other, or the geeks or the nerds hanging out with one another, and we always wonder, well, that's pretty strange, isn't it? Not really, because what you project and what you think and what you be and what you become, see, I talk about the power of being because that's your identity. So what you be or what you are or who you are, your identity begins to radiate in the atmosphere because you're constantly projecting that out of your heart. And what happens is other people with that same passion and that same likeness will be attracted to you. Isn't it interesting that alcoholics hang out with alcoholics? Because each other begins to put that out in the atmosphere because you're passionate about what you think about. You're passionate about who you think your identity is. And what happens is all those other people who have that passion about that same likeness or that same precious spirit, if you will, begins to be attracted to that same thing, that same spirit on the inside of you. That thinking process inside of you picks up on the thinking process of others. Did you know that? So therefore, you got to be careful what you think. You got to be careful what your desire is, and know that it's God's desire for your life. And all of a sudden, you'll be attracted to people just like you. And my prayer to you today is be a champion. You know, focus on reaching your goals. Focusing on, the Bible says, he who's on the housetop, let him not come down. Focus on living your life as a champion. You know, when you've had a taste of steak, you don't want to go back to McDonald's, do you? So therefore, when you've had a taste of the very best, you're like, man, this meat is good. It's awesome. It's great. You'll never compare it to McDonald's because you know you've had a taste of the mountaintop, the high top, if you will. So he's on the housetop. Don't ever find yourself decreasing or coming down a level if you've ever had a taste of the very best. So focus on it. Be a champion and say, you know what? I have seen it. Therefore, I'm going to become it, and I'm going to be that thing that I'm focusing on. And the more you focus on it as being a champion and a king in God's kingdom, you'll be surrounded by kings, by leaders, by priests, by champions, by eagles that soar in the heavenly realms, and that'll be attracted to you. Hey, thank you for tuning in today. We're going to have another broadcast to continue this series on the law of attraction. I hope you're getting excited about this like I am. So tune in next time. We're going to continue this law of attraction. And don't forget, God's deep is calling to your deep. It's time for you to answer it. Amen. God bless you. Have a wonderful, precious, marvelous day today. In Jesus' name.